gets nothing effect. Has that one taken away by Troy Hellman. It seems like this could be.
Hello and welcome to the Overwatch League recap, a talk show focusing on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob, and today Mel has graced us with her presence after being gone last week. Welcome back, Mel.
You're welcome. I'm
Hey.
here. You have show notes. Don't worry.
Well, we had show notes last time because you were gracious enough to give us show notes, but
true.
not come on because you didn't actually watch any of the games because you were at a conference, which we understand. And we are also joined by I Play Games, a.k.a. Andres. How you doing, sir?
Ayo, it's been a roller coaster of a weekend. I'm sure we'll get into it, but oh man, I'm just glad I got some good company today to keep me through this one.
Yes, definitely. First time on the show, we have Ryan from the Bird Watchers podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's been a podcast I've been listening to since its inception, and I love his deep voice. I like deep voices. Welcome to the show, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for listening too, and thanks for having me on because, I mean, obviously we've all talked to each other in the past in different formats, but I think this is the first time it's like a face-to-face type situation, and more to come with the homestand. I'm sure we'll get there.
Definitely. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your podcast and also about the watch parties that you've been doing recently.
Oh man, okay, so I'm gonna talk forever. So the podcast, yeah, we're the Bird Watchers. It's myself and my buddy Clay, who's out of Nashville, and the focus is kind of on match analysis that caters towards. We try to bridge the gap between more beginner players, but still like an intermediate type approach. So our goal has always been to explain to people why the thing that's happening on the screen is awesome, right?
Gotcha.
And the format is like we choose 3 matches out of the week that we think are cool. We go into kind of an in-depth match analysis, kind of like a Sports Center type notes. And then we give you standings and we do brief news. I mean, there's a lot of people that cover news better than we do, like you all. So we only glance over something. We usually pick one that kind of interests us.
Gotcha.
Do you talk about Houston every week?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, because I was a Houston fan last year, so we'll get into that.
Okay. You also you talk a lot about the Atlanta Reign too. Like you definitely if someone wants to know everything about Atlanta's game, you cover the games each week, right?
Yeah, so that was something new, right? So we've been doing it. Oh man, it's been like a year and 3 months now, 4 months. And this year we have a team local to us. And what we did was we kind of wanted to keep the format because there's a lot of people who aren't Atlanta Reign fans, right? And they just like the way our standard format. So we're like, okay, well, we can dedicate one of the matches every week to our team, kind of show love and to watch their progression as they grow. So yeah, it's been really fun to watch. It's been, like Andrea said, a roller coaster. Oh man, I think we'll get into that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then the watch parties, because Andres has been just raving about these. He got himself in a tweet from the Atlanta Reign this last week. So tell us a little bit about those.
That was pretty cool. And these guys are in charge of organizing all of this. You and Bear, right, are like the main 2 guys.
So actually it's my buddy Leo, Aussie ATL. You've probably seen him.
Yeah. I've seen him around the Hangouts. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's us 3 kind of as the coordinating bodies, right? Him, myself, and then Bear of Twitch, which is, he's a veteran streamer that's local to Atlanta. And that whole story is kind of crazy, man. It kind of started in, I think it was DreamHack. last year, where we all met up in a certain situation where, Aussie went out for drinks. I went to meet him. We started talking about watch parties. And then there's other groups around Atlanta, like ATL, Payload ATL, and there's some other groups, like smaller groups, and everybody was kind of talking about trying to get something going. Well, to make it simpler, we created this umbrella that's the Atlanta Royal Family. And then under that umbrella, we work with Atlanta Reign, who they've been amazing when it comes to communication, when it comes to setting things up, when it comes to like exclusive giveaways, right? Andreas knows about like the red scarves, red hats, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I got my Genji socks.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, them, and then also the ownership, right? Cox Communications. We communicate with them. So it's kind of this trifecta that make these things happen. But we kind of are on the ground running and keeping that thing going. And so yeah, we kind of came together. We had this first one planned. Our local bar, Battle and Brew, which is, we're blessed to have, because a lot of states and a lot of people say they don't have bars like that, gaming bars in their vicinity. So we worked with them. They've been great. We've known them for years, right? Like when we started the podcast. So they've been awesome. We all came together and made this thing happen. I mean, you guys probably heard about the first event, right? That blew us away.
You talked about it on the podcast. You were like, "Oh my gosh, there's 600 people."
Dude, it was nuts. Like people were waiting in line because we're at capacity. Capacity was like 475.
I couldn't get to the first event because I got there like half an hour before the game started, and it was already too late. I was like, "How long is the line? An hour and a half? Okay, I'm gonna miss the game."
They're like, yeah, as soon as the Atlanta game's over, you can come on in.
Exactly. You should DM me, Andreas, and be like, hey, I'm outside. Come get you.
Well,
right?
I hadn't met you at the time. I would definitely would have.
But I was listening to Omnic Labs at the time too, so I wouldn't know. But it's one of those things where, since that point, it just kept running. So after that, we said, okay, well, we need to manage expectations, right? Can't all be 600. So we started tiering it in these like gold tier, diamond tier, and then grandmaster tier. Grandmaster was that first event, and those are the big ones, right? But we thought, okay, a couple people will show up. Next one, we had 75 people show up for the gold event, which was supposed to be a small one, and then like 60, and then 75 again. Then we did a diamond one, that was 270. And listen, Atlanta's not playing around. Like we're doing our part, so as long as Atlanta Reign can...
No, we're thirsty for like that community and those matches, dude. I was super impressed. You guys got the sponsorship of Coca-Cola too. We had a huge event downtown, and it was fully sponsored. We had like food and drinks and hat giveaways. There was a bunch of merch.
Hey, that's what's up. Oh my, I'm so jealous.
Like, I didn't have to pay a dime for any drinks or food. I was like so impressed. I was like, wait, I can just show up and eat food and drink and get free hats. Like I was very impressed by that one.
Oh yeah, he was raving about it. And I think that's a true. I mean, Atlanta, as far as the team organization, I mean, like the fans definitely have to come, but Atlanta has knocked it out of the park with how they're doing promotions and advertising and really building that. So. Man, I am jealous of you two, like super jealous. Every time he says he's going to a watch party, I'm like, bleep you.
Hey,
I can't wait for you guys to come down.
Yeah, you'll be part of the watch parties in July.
Oh,
I know, but I want to go to every one of them.
Everyone. Wow, we can webcam you in. Like we can make this work.
Yeah, I'm just there. Hey guys. I'm just talking to everybody at the bar. You just put me right there on an iPad. I'm like, so what you having?
We'll get one of those surrogate robots with an iPad with your face.
Drive it around.
As long as you can give it a Red Bull vodka to hold as it goes around, we're good.
I was in Atlanta just the other weekend, and we sat down for dinner the first night. It's me and my colleagues, and we sat down for dinner, and my business manager is like, I'll have a Coke or a Pepsi, whatever. And they're like,
Pepsi,
we have Coke.
What is that?
Atlanta. And we were like, oh God.
Pepsi really doesn't exist here. Like,
okay, they
it's hard
sold
to
it
find.
at our hotel. They sold it at our hotel, and it was the funniest thing ever. Because then our executive director comes up with this Pepsi bottle, and we're like, oh dude, you shouldn't walk outside with that. Go down. I'm saying,
dude, that's my type of place. I love Coke. Pepsi's too sweet. I like the burn that Coke has, like the little. It's not really a burn, but the extra fizz.
The sizzle.
Yeah.
So we're Atlanta fans because they have Coke. So it's fine. Right.
We'll take it. We'll take it. But no, yeah, it's been beautiful. It's been crazy. And there's a lot of people putting their hands in this thing to keep it going. So
yeah, that's awesome.
We'll leave it at that,
awesome.
so we don't get stuck on it the whole episode. There's a lot of stuff we need to talk about, right?
Well, why don't you tell them real quickly where they could find a listing for those events in case they are in Atlanta?
Yeah, so we have a meetup page, which is meetup.com, and it's / the Atlanta Royal or ATL Royal Family. If you type that in, it'll take you to our main page. All the events are usually 2 or 3 events out, so you always can plan for them. All the tiering is explained, all the details are there. We have a bunch of imagery there as well to kind of display what's going on. So that's the best way to follow it. Or the Twitter. I mean, we're super active on the Atlanta Royal Family account as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and you can count on games almost every week because you guys have been super proactive about organizing those events. Like I think every week there's been events as long as Atlanta is playing.
Every game we haven't missed one.
There you go. So if you are a fan of ATL, don't miss it out. Especially if you live around the area because they're super, super fun. Every time I've been to one, I've had a great time. And it's a super awesome time to meet other people that are into the game here in the local area.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would kill to have those types of events around me. People have asked me to like start something in Denver, and I'm just like, man, I do not have time to do that.
Yeah,
well,
but if we had a team, I might. But I mean, this would just be like a watch party for all of Overwatch League, and I just don't know how to. I guess I could reach out to Great Root Beer, but you know. Yeah,
it's just hard. Like it's just hard because it's like you have fans of so many different teams here in Colorado because there isn't a local team. Like you plan a watch party for say a day, and it's like if your team's not playing, you're probably not going to go. You might go just to say hi, but like
I was gonna say maybe you could do it for like the finals or something like that. But I mean, we're probably gonna be at the finals, so it wouldn't make sense.
I've been trying to talk Mel into moving to Texas, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh man,
he's unsuccessfully trying to make me move to the world.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think if it wasn't for the collective, because no one of us is doing it alone, right? There's some people who are spearheading certain tasks, but I would say shoot for a stage playoffs. Like try for what are we? We're stage 2, right? Like shoot for like stage 3 playoffs and say, hey, I'm gonna spend the little bit of free time. I know how busy you guys are. A little bit of free time you may have trying to gather interest in the area and say, hey, this is not for any specific team. Just come out, hang out, and watch Overwatch, because if there's none going on, then I'm sure anybody would be happy to see one going on, because the league has been great in kind of giving that visibility to all these different groups, fan groups. The Deadly Venoms, you have the Texas fan groups. Like everybody's getting their kind of play on the social media, so people now know that it's more than just one place doing it, right?
Cool.
So I don't know.
We might have to look into that. Anybody willing to help me out with that right into the show?
There you go.
All right, so let's move into news. So this first one's a little weird. So Hunter's player fined for comment on stream. So basically, it was I forget, I can't say his name. It's the Yao Zhang, the long
YXL. Just call him YXL.
Yeah, I guess I could click on the news thing, but I already know about the story. So he made a comment to Aspen, who is, I think we need to preface this by an underage girl streamer. I think that's probably what caused the biggest issue with the comment, because the comment seems not that bad to me personally, but depending on the person, and we have a woman here, so we could ask her too, but he basically said, Amang wants to make you his second wife.
Amang says you're his second wife.
Yeah.
And she seemed a little
it wasn't a proposition.
Yeah, she got a little red, and it just kind of seemed like a little weird comment, like a guy tried to flirt with a girl and doing a really piss poor job of it. But he got fined pretty hardcore for what he did. Like, Mel, I want to go with you first, since you were the resident lady and you give us the ability to actually talk about this. So why don't you tell us what you thought about this and how you perceived it?
Oh, God. I do not speak for all women, by the way.
No, for sure not. But your comments on the issue will be taken better than men's comments.
Okay.
Don't hold back.
I won't. I think he is a jerk. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's way.
As Bob walks away.
Yeah, it's a way overstated, right? Like, I get it. Yeah, okay. He says you're his second wife. Like, you didn't think that was a joke? Like, come on. And second off, like, it's not like he said, like, hey, will you send me nudes or something like that? Like, it was just like, it was a joke. It was funny. It was like, I really like you, but like in a different way. I don't know. It's
And
super,
from what I understand,
super
Aspen
horrible.
didn't care.
Yeah, I don't think Aspen did care. And my whole issue with this is that they're segregating women into this little bubble of like, you can't say anything remotely, I don't know, sexist to a woman, or else you're gonna lose your, life, right? Like, what is this? Like, one comment in game and you lose a month's worth of salary? Like, that's absurd to me. And it wasn't even a derogatory comment. It wasn't like he went in there and made like these comments that she was anything other than like, you're cool. I want you to be my wife. Like, come on.
I was gonna say that. If anything, it's
A
almost
compliment.
like a compliment. Yeah, it's just
Right.
showing
It's
interest
just
in
poorly
her.
played. Poorly played, bro. Poorly played.
I mean,
Especially
it's
with
poorly
lack of
played.
rapport, too,
If
man.
the
It's not
function,
sharpest, flirt out there, but it's not like that terrible to it. Yeah, like you said, Mill, to make him lose that much money.
They're definitely trying to set a precedent.
They're sending a message. I
but
think
they're
that is
setting
definitely
the
what is
wrong
happening.
precedent. I'm
I
sorry.
agree.
I think it's wrong. I think if you're a woman and you can't handle somebody saying you're my second wife without like, and I'm not blaming Aspen because I know this was an Aspen, but like, if you can't handle somebody saying that, then you're just proving the entire world that women need to be in a bubble, and they don't. I can stand up for myself. If I don't want you to tell me that I'm your second wife, I will tell you not to tell me I'm your second wife and ban you from my stream. Like, get out. Like, do not shield and like make this so that women have again another bane against them in the gaming world, right? Like, now, oh, I can't talk to women like I do men when I'm playing in a game, so I don't want them on my team.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say these players are gonna be terrified to like
dude.
make any move towards like a girl, because like right now, like I feel like they're trying to be harsher because of things that have happened before in the past with players got like flirting with girls they shouldn't be flirting with and stuff. But
He who should not be named. And I mean, we have to put into perspective her age, because that is a pretty big deal. It might not have gotten
How old is
blown out. She's 17.
Just 17.
oh, okay. So yeah, that's probably inappropriate on his part too, because he's
I mean,
what?
he's 18.
19, 18?
22.
I
Oh,
mean, that's
22.
not-
Okay, that's a little different. That's not like a
Okay.
senior that just graduated and their junior
Yeah, I was gonna say
girlfriend's
18
still in
is
high
a
school.
fine line because like that's like right next to each other. 22 is like, yeah, you're an adult.
Yeah, it's definitely inappropriate the way he approached it, especially if there's no rapport there. I don't think they've ever played together. It's just kind of like a thing where he stepped over the line.
But he also did it.
She's a pretty good, like a pretty big streamer though, and lots of people. I've had it happen to me. Like lots of people will meet you and they feel like they know you, and like it's cool, but like I don't know them, so I don't know how to react to what they're saying to me. You know what I mean? Like, but they've heard me countless times, and it's probably something just on a bigger state with her.
Yeah, I definitely think the punishment was too heavy, because the fear it creates, like Mil said, is that we want more women in the league, right? You have Gaguri and it's great, but think about it. If you create this ceiling of
Stigma.
fear, it's like the stigma of, hey, if you do anything wrong, you're screwed if a woman's around. Then how are you going to ever have a situation where you have more people? Like, what if Aspen was coming to the league in a couple of years or something like that, and then
No
she has
one
to
would
be
be
in the
coming
team
to-
house? No one would want to live in that house. They would be like, screw this. I'll find my own place, and that screws up scrims, and it's like it puts her in a weird bubble as well. Yes, it was inappropriate, but it was definitely handled with a heavy hand, and I don't know how that's going to play out, especially for a team that's been on the up and up as far as just the social reach, right? Like Hunters have kind of been the golden
Fan
child.
favorite.
Yeah, like a fan favorite, and this kind of hurts.
And Mel, you made a really good point I hadn't thought of, and it's so men, like, oftentimes when we become close with each other, we give each other crap. We do it a lot. It's called giving your friend shit, and like, if you can't do that with a female, will you be able to build that bond, that team bond? Like Mel, gives shit and takes shit in our six stack all the time. And I mean it's a good time. It's good banter. And yeah, I guess this does set a precedent. I think it got blown out because of her age, but that's
Yeah.
It did, and again, her age is a factor, like because but she's also put herself in this spotlight where she streams Overwatch League over the internet, which is not exactly the most like cool crowd, right? Like, I'm just gonna tell you, like, I am sure that is not the first time she has ever gotten a
the
message.
stuff that's been said to her. Like I watch her stream sometimes during the day because she's just really good. I'd love to see her go to the league, but she's got mods. Like you'll get a split second to see some of the stuff that's said to her, and some of it's pretty raunchy.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And I'm not saying that that's right. What I'm saying is that I don't think that this comment was that wrong. And I don't think that you are helping females in the gaming industry by making this punishment toward somebody who said something fairly innocent. Now, how old is Among?
Well, Among didn't say it.
No, but he said it for Among.
Well, maybe.
He said Among says you're his second wife.
We don't, yeah, but we can't confirm or deny that Among actually said that. You know what I mean?
Agreed. But
to play like devil's advocate, though, what should Blizzard do? Because like, should they step into like, should they do something when something like this happens, when a player is trying to be or is being a little bit inappropriate, and like at what level, and what should the fine be? How should they protect themselves from potential lawsuits or things like happened with Boston Uprising?
This wasn't Blizzard though. This was the Hunters.
This was the organization themselves?
Yes.
Did Blizzard have any say? Did they tell them anything, or this was just Hunters like straight up? Like,
I think Hunters took care of it before Blizzard even had a chance to step in.
It was a quick response.
Yeah,
I remember being on Reddit and watching it kind of unfold.
Can this also be a cultural thing too? Like maybe for the Chinese culture, like this is more frowned upon. Like, wow, you just can't be calling anybody your wife, or second wife, like your first wife. You already have a wife.
What
are you doing, bro?
Right.
Are you allowed to have second wives in China? I don't know. You are in some countries. I just don't. I
doubt it, dude. I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I mean, they're pretty restrictive about certain things. I doubt that people are just.
Oh yeah, because they had restrictions on children until not too long ago.
Yeah, you can have as many wives as you want, but only one child. Don't worry about it. No, I guess. But to play devil's advocate to that point, it's like, okay, so you can't call me your second wife, but what about at the workplace when you're like, you're my work husband or you're my work wife, right? Like so many people have
I see that all the time.
And I'm not saying I have a work husband, but if I did, I don't think I would turn somebody in.
He's also my work husband.
But I'm just saying, like, I guess I just don't appreciate the way that it was taken, and I think they meant to punish the male, and what they did was punish the female population in gaming in general, and I don't like that.
It's hard all around, in my opinion. I don't know what you do from the hunter standpoint. I guess you acknowledge it, but kind of play it by ear. Maybe like say, okay, well, this is what we came up with, light punishment. If the community is like, no, give him the chair or like put him in jail or something. Like if the community responds,
I mean, if you ask Reddit, they'll.
Yeah, and that's the other part is you have a lot of different minded parties. You have some that are chaotic good. You have some that are like, so you don't know.
Put it to a vote on Reddit, and then we'll get justice, right?
Democracy.
Democracy via Reddit. Oh God, what world would that be?
Yeah, it's a tough situation all around, man.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we hope that it just discourages this in the future, so it doesn't become news. But moving on, Atlanta homestand weekend tickets go on sale. I am so lucky that I saw your tweet, Ryan, because I saw it and I was like, I'm just gonna check it out. And I looked at it. Like half the 2-day pass seats were sold out. And I was like, all right, and I'm texting iPlay and I'm like, dude, you have to answer me. I don't know what to do. I was like, all right, dude, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy 4 of the cheapest tickets and hopefully I did the right thing. And he came back, he was like, yeah, it's the right thing. But so those sold out. The 2-day tickets sold out by the next day. Now I will say,
no, they didn't sell out.
I know. I'm prefacing, or I'm just saying
the cheaper 2-day tickets sold out.
Yeah, the most expensive, like $280 seats right in front are still available on the 2-day passes. Now, what's weird is single-day passes for both days are still available, and all I could guess is that when I did pick seats, they had a bunch of sections closed off you couldn't pick. So I'm wondering if they just separated the 1-day tickets and the 2-day tickets. But if you want to go to any of it at all, you better get on it right now. Pause the podcast, go and buy your tickets because they are going fast.
And I can say this, in Atlanta, any event, it doesn't matter if it's music, doesn't matter if it's a show, it doesn't matter. People like going to things in Atlanta. Yeah, they do. And people like to comment. So you've seen Reddit about the prices and like, oh, it's a little bit higher, blah blah.
People like lines there, right?
They love lines.
I've heard everybody loves lines there, and in Texas, in Austin, Texas, I've heard that too.
Yeah, we love lines so much. That's why the traffic's so bad. People just love waiting.
Yes.
It's amazing. Man.
I went to a karaoke bar. Okay, so my people I was there with were like, hey, should we go to karaoke? And I was like, that sounds like fun. Let's do it, right? We get to this karaoke bar. There's a freaking full band playing behind you. And I'm like, no. I am definitely not getting up to karaoke.
I can show you the world.
Right? No, it was just like, I was like, what is this? Where's my little microphone and my little screen and 10 people in front of me? Like, that's cool. No, don't give me a band.
You got this whole experience.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do it.
It's your time to shine.
I signed myself up and then I left and gave my wristband to this other girl and I was like, hey, you're karaokeing Miley Cyrus. Bye.
Singing about hamster. Nice.
But no, the homestand, dude, I got my ticket immediately. It wasn't even I had the money set aside. I was like, okay, button's available, I'm gonna hit it. And that's what happened. And everybody's kind of panicking to try to figure out, okay, well, what are the details? Naturally, we try to post details to help people out. On Reddit, I tell people like DM me or whatever if you need some more questions. But honestly, it was pretty well spelled out. I think the major crappy part was how they're doing the grab bags. That's not cool, in my opinion, with the essentially upselling your grab bag. Like that's something that it's an event. Give that to people. People want that so they can get a sign, so they can talk about it. Don't make people pay for that. Like it's going to benefit you in the end.
Well,
they have an opportunity to make more money.
Well, it does come with the expensive tickets, though. I did see that.
That's what he's saying, is that they're only including it with the expensive ticket.
No, but I was able, like, when I was checking out, I could add that for $40 a ticket to my cheap tickets.
You didn't do that, though, right?
I did not do that.
Just
I was going to say, I'm with Ryan. Like, for example, in the finals, they were just giving away everything. You got, like, stickers, you got towels. And like by the end of the show, they were like begging you to take it. They're like, take it all. I walked away with like 8 towels from there. But
they
like,
had hundreds of them.
It was like, it was like an event thing, and like I have like souvenirs and a bunch of stuff to show. But there's a difference. There's a difference between something like a giveaway, right? That you buy in bulk, like an Overwatch League towel.
I bet they will have stuff like that there, though.
That's what I'm saying. Is I bet they will have those like giveaways and swag. What I think the grab bag, I don't know what's in it. Do you guys know what's in it?
I read it, but already forgot it.
Yeah, but it's probably more expensive. Glow stick?
I don't know. I'm bullshitting. I'm not.
Kind of like the glow
is
sticks
from
at
BlizzCon?
BlizzCon that we never
BlizzCon
used.
where we finally get to break them?
Yeah. No, we never got to break them. I was just holding it, and like the second
the
day, I was like, all right, guys, I'm busting it.
At the Atlanta homestand, we finally get to break the glow sticks.
Oh, yeah. I did save them.
But my view on that is just...
They're playing the long game here.
Yeah.
my view is that, people want to buy things, and they'll spend money, but there are certain things, like especially exclusives for those events, that people just want. A great example, to go back to, we talked about that first watch party we had. So the first one, we had exclusive scarves, t-shirts, hats for that night at the bar. We gave those away, and I can't tell you how many people came up to me and said, hey, where's the kiosk, or where can I buy things and buy jerseys or whatever? I was like, oh, no, everything tonight is free. We're giving this part of the event. They're like, no. That's cool, but I also want to buy a bunch of shit. Right. And I was like, oh, that's a big sign, right? And that's what kind of applies in my mind to this, is give people their damn grab bags, and they will buy everything in that building. Because you almost put yourself in a position that if you make people pay for that stuff and the event is not what they want it to be, it's a detriment to you, because you made people spend so much money and you didn't rise to the occasion.
Yeah, so you almost...
meet them halfway.
Like, you give them some small things, and then that might entice them to buy the bigger things. That's a really good point.
Yeah, those jerseys.
Yeah, exactly.
It's even just advertisement in itself, right? Like, you give them these small things, and then they keep it, and then they show it to people, and then they have it on their shelf, and then it says Atlanta homestand weekend. Like, they're like, what is that? Like, it's just an advertisement. You try to get things that people will keep, not things that people will, like a disposable water bottle, like you throw away at the end. You don't want to give away that, but you want to give away something that somebody's going to have in their possession for longer. And so
exactly,
who knows?
Yeah. Well, either
Happy
way,
it's happening, though. And I get to see you too. So
yeah, dude, it's gonna be cool. Yeah, we were so excited.
So much.
Oh man, but yeah, so definitely, guys, if you want to go, definitely get on there. Buy just single days. You can still get both days. You might be in different seats, but that is still an option. The dual days are sold out, which is amazing. That was really fast. That's got to be faster than Dallas was. Although I think they sold out, but I don't think they sold out before recently, but I don't think they sold out the next day on the 2-day passes.
I guess it just depends though how you set it up, right? Because they still obviously have quite a few single day tickets for both days. Yeah. So maybe Dallas just didn't set it up the same way. But Dallas did sell out.
And they could be doing giveaways too. You don't know if they're kind of holding to do as it gets closer to the date, since it was kind of a late announcement. But what I can tell you guys is that the Energy Center is a beautiful venue. They have legitimate shows there all the time. So they pull it off, and they've done esports events before. So if they set it up right, it should just be a banger of a weekend.
I can't wait. I'm excited. Also, Dallas Homestead weekend is completely sold out. I just sold my tickets that I had bought because the media department hadn't gotten back to me from Envy, and so I didn't know what was going on. I had my media badge, but they're not allowing media into the stadium. So I feel like my tickets, I put them back on sale. They were like in nosebleed. I put them back on sale for their normal price. They sold immediately. I feel like I should have jacked the price up a little bit, but you know
Don't
what?
be that guy. Don't be that guy.
But I ended up losing a little money because of StubHub's fees. Yeah. So, but that's gonna be cool. We're going next week. We've got everything set. We got
this week.
Yeah. Oh wow. Friday. Yeah.
Right now, the flight is right now, Bob. You guys have
gotta go.
Right now.
Yep, we got the nice floor seats. We got one media pass, so I'll be trying to get as much content as I can for you guys. But that's gonna be cool. Like, what I want to talk about this though is it like this is big for the league because this is the first time it's on the road. Thursday night we had a lot of Twitch problems. With the feed, with it like messing up and stuff, like, will everything go on without a hitch? That's what I'm worried about.
Live show's always hard. Doesn't matter where it is.
I doubt it's gonna go without a hitch.
Yeah.
It's more of can they get the hitches and be okay and still deliver the quality that they've been delivering
we notice the hitches?
so far. Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Can
I'm
they
sure
keep
there'll
up?
be 1,000 things that happen.
I think the main thing is gonna keep the quality the same at least, or consistent with what they're doing in Burbank, because that's the biggest tale, right? So far the quality of the league is really good. Like they mess
It's
up
really
here and
good. The
there,
broadcast is great.
but for a broadcast that runs like that often and for that long, um, I think they do a fantastic job.
Mhm.
So hopefully they can keep that like quality standard and bring it to the other cities, and we'll be in good shape.
See, I'm
I
just
do
worried
think
about the tech setup because when I toured the backstage, they've got all these computers specifically set up so that players bring in their little jump drive and that's got all of their in-game settings on it and they plug it into the computer in the back. Then they walk on stage. Like, are they going to take all these computers with them or are they using different ones? Like,
It's from what I've heard, is one central computer that they use, so
no,
everything's
that's what
connected.
I thought too. But when I took the tour, they basically each have a server that is their computer. I thought it was a big server farm that ran virtual machines, but I specifically asked him because I'm in IT, so I'm a nerd about that. But they
Same here,
are
man.
separate computers, basically servers, Xeon processors, and like with 32 gigs of RAM, they're 240 hertz monitors. But are they taking that all with them? Also, the observers sit in this huge room with a ton of monitors and a ton of equipment. Are they moving all of that too? Who's setting all that up? Because I mean,
I
just me
that's
mean,
on
setting up my
Dallas.
local
my
computer is
guess
a
is
pain.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a concert, right? You
Mhm.
bring all your racks of gear. In this case, you bring all your racks of servers. You bring all the
See,
equipment your
Maybe
production
they're
needs,
there
and you
now
set
doing
up.
that now, actually.
I don't think so. I don't think that's the way it's going to go. I think honestly, it's up to Dallas to provide that. And the reason I think that is because this is like a test run for the regionalization. And Dallas is going to have all of that. Granted, this is not their home arena, but they have put in a bid to say, we can do this.
Mhm.
Come to us. This is why they got the homestand weekend,
They would
right?
have to rent it then, because there's no way you would get computers now just to have them be outdated next year.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
maybe.
I'm sure there's plenty of companies, production companies that can help with that. So I guarantee you that, or I guarantee, right? I can't do that, but maybe they gave them a checklist and was like, hey, here's what you need. Get working on it. And they're working on getting production companies to help them out to set up so that when the staff comes in, they can just hop in and keep things moving as expected. Because that's the goal, right? It's like it's supposed to be business as you're in IT, right? Business
Yep.
as usual. Keep
Yep.
it that way so the viewers and the users don't see the difference. They don't see the sausage being made just because it's at a different place.
Yeah, and maybe Dallas is putting a lot of the work too, but I would doubt that Overwatch League is just being like, Dallas, this is what you need. Here you go. Like this is their test run. They're as invested
Yeah,
as
yeah,
anyone else to make it
right.
happen. Like if they need to
Yeah,
provide the equipment, they're going to. It's my guess.
it's
Good point.
definitely like it's one of the biggest things that's ever happened in the Overwatch League so far. Grand finals. Blevins and I were
I mean,
talking
they
about
made
it
it
today.
happen in New York, so like they've already taken it to like
You're right.
a
You're right.
different venue. Yeah.
I should have asked them what they did then. That was a missed opportunity. I was basically talking. I forget his name, but it's like the second in command from Nate. The guy knew all kinds of stuff, so he would have known that. I should have asked that. Oh,
Now you know.
Next
Next time
time.
you see him.
knowing is half the battle. Uh-oh. I need Mel here. I do not know this story. Warner Brothers purchased Blizzard Arena in 2023. So Warner Brothers,
Really?
who has a studio that I used to work at right down the street from the
Yeah.
Burbank studio, is buying the old Tonight Show studio. Really?
Correct. That's what this article says.
It's literally like right down the street from each other.
Well, I think it's to give them more office space and to like, I think that's really
So
it.
they're
More
probably
office space and more
buying.
recording studios.
Do you think, okay, Warner Brothers is probably buying the entire Burbank studios then, would be my guess.
Maybe. I don't know. But I guess people, to bring it back to Overwatch League, people were just freaking out that like, what's gonna happen to the Blizzard Arena? Like, come on, guys. We already know everybody's going to homestands. Like,
They already said the Blizzard. This is the last year. Their lease is up.
Yeah. So, here's, where it's going to Warner Brothers. Good job.
Yeah, you guys will have 2 arenas there with the Gladiators and the Valiant. So, I think LA is going to be just fine.
Yeah, LA's not going in it. They won't have any issue. Trust me.
All right, this next one, he owed it to us, and he kind of half gave it to us on the broadcast. What was that, last night? Dogman finally got his bowl cut, let Bren do it, but Bren only cut about 1/4 of his hair in the back here. I was waiting for him to get the bangs, and that's what I wanted to get.
Everyone was freaking out.
Bren was freaking out because everybody else was freaking out that he was going to cut off Dogman's ear. And it was like, what is happening right now? First of all, it's not a bowl cut. It's a bowl cut. And so, why they had the bowl, I don't understand. But whatever. That's fine.
No, it's a bowl cut. That's the whole joke. You put a bowl. B-O-W-L, bowl cut.
No way.
It is definitely not a B-U-L-L cut. It's literally, cut. It's literally like when people used to put a bowl on top of a kid's head and cut around. That's the whole joke of it.
Did to Dogman.
Yeah.
But Bren
Mel
kept,
learns about bowl
putting
cuts on the podcast live.
Sorry, I'm not an expert. Bren kept putting it on his head and then tilting it and then cutting it. I was like, what is happening right now?
Well, he's the bowl cut butcher. He's not supposed to do well. It's like he's supposed to mess it up.
Oh God, it was ugly.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I'm happy. So first of all, I must say that he promised that for the NYXL game. He's supposed to have the bowl cut for that game.
But he got his hair cut, so it wasn't long enough.
Yeah. But no excuses.
No excuses. No excuses. He said if
he's like, I gotta get my hair cut. I gotta get my hair cut so I can't get a bowl cut.
Yeah, it doesn't look terrible, which I think is a disservice because that's the whole plan, right? It's supposed to be embarrassing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be dumb.
And like you said, Bob, they need to get the bangs. Like they get them real short.
That's what he should have started with, because then at least if he didn't get through it, it would have looked dumb. And that's all we care about. You know what I mean? Like we just want Dogman to look dumb because that's the whole joke. And I mean, I love Dogman.
If it doesn't look dumb.
Yeah, I love Dogman, and so I think it would have been cool. But I think Brad just kind of, he just freaked out a little bit probably.
Yeah. Listen, all I'm gonna say is they messed it up or whatever. It could have been better. It could have been done another way. But I'm really happy that we have a character like Dogman in the league. We need more of that personality. Like he's already created so many memes. We have the Cruz, he's a feeder. We have now the bowl cut, and
he's influencing other people to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I've never seen Overwatch League players throw their headphones and stand up so much after Dogman started doing it. Now we have other players kind of I'm gonna do this too. So I don't know.
But listen, when Jake hits the desk in anger, it's like a massive outcry of what is wrong with the team? Oh my God.
I'm gonna go
I don't think that has anything to do with Jake, though. What's wrong with the team? But go ahead. You were saying, Ryan?
Yeah, I want to go a little deep on this. So it's to Andre's point with Dogman, the great part is that he's well spoken. He kind of speaks his mind. He's not always going to be correct or whatever. And he's not the top zen, but he's showing something that's kind of a counter to what we've been seeing with a lot of players that can't handle the league, right? There's a lot of players that are going through mental issues and struggling with things. That has happened where you have all these retirements, and it kind of scares people because not only do you have a lot of players that are introverted, but you have a lot of players that are leaving the league because they just can't handle the spotlight. So when you have a Dogman to say, hey, if we're a legitimate sport, you have to have those guys who are kind of personalities because that's part of sports. That's something we need to borrow from, CSGO and Rainbow Six Siege because they pop off all the time. Everybody's popping off. Madden, FIFA, anything you watch, those other games.
The FGC. I mean, those guys fight after
fighting it. Listen, I haven't played Street Fighter since 4, but I follow FGC since I was 7. And that's the kind of energy that I hope will start to build with people like Dogman. So it's beautiful what he's doing, and keep doing what you're doing, man, and keep pushing those people who are more outspoken, like a Jake or those more visual people that you see to step up and push it a bit. It's competition.
I was just gonna say we've seen less of it since Different's been gone, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they need to get the team together. I mean, there's no use in like, being mimey and trash talking if your team is doing terrible. It's a fine line.
Got it.
Um,
Got it.
I was
And
gonna say,
yeah,
though, like you were saying, players need to be well rounded in the league. It's not enough that you're just, mechanically amazing or something like that. If you can't
Fisher.
handle being out in the crowd, or you can't handle being in a team or working
yeah,
in an organization. Like, these players are gonna have to be the whole package. And the league is, relatively new. Last season was the first run. And as you keep going and going, you're gonna have more of these players come in, because you see guys like Dogman. And honestly, we've had players like that before, like Sabiobi comes
yeah.
to mind. It's too bad that
Vicky.
we don't see him as much anymore, but he was a showman too. He entertained the crowd. He was jokey. And like, to be fair, he didn't speak English, so he wasn't as linked to, our side of the
Yeah.
world as he might have been with South Korea. But even then, he was able to come through, and everybody here started loving Sabiobi because of his showmanship. And like, that was, endearing. Look at Bob, like, freaking rolling his fingers.
just,
You know, you
he's
know
just
that from
blowing
him.
on the
You know what I mean?
fingers.
Yeah,
Yep.
Legit,
It's iconic.
just him.
Things about him.
Legit, just him finding a spider in his bedroom and freaking the hell out was 100% hands down. You're a cool player. I love you.
Yeah, it's I think Clay and I used to talk about how, like, last year, how, okay, this year flex player is going to be more important. Well, in my mind, a flex player is so much more than, like you said, just what they do. It's, oh, you can talk in front of a camera. Oh, you can talk about other players. You can do the nice, the cook, like Custa, right? Like, you can go to, you do other sports.
Costa
Like, you
is
go to
a
other
great
events.
example too of a
Amazing
well-rounded player.
example.
No, his
So
big brain's too much, guys.
too good for the team. He's too good. But yeah, it's those cases where these players are important, and it's about, yeah, you need top talent and you want to win, but you also need to balance your organization, because you can have an all-star team, but if all of them don't have a Twitter, if they don't stream, if they don't talk to their fans, if they don't go to events, if they don't sign autographs, if they don't do these things, your team's pretty much non-existent in anyone's mind. So
Well,
it's definitely value there.
that, and just the fact that like you've seen Fusions, his impact that he's had on
Dude,
Boston,
he
right?
just stopped talking.
And never, like, his lips
Beautiful.
literally never stop moving.
Yeah,
I
it's
just don't
beautiful.
understand it. But what I see there is, like, Boston isn't allowed to get in tilt mode, right? Like, Fusions is like, no, guys, we're pulling this reverse sweep out. And like, how many reverse sweeps have they had, right?
Insane.
And you see, like,
I don't know. I feel like, honestly, he's in a permanent tilt mode, and that's what carries him through the match.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. But like, he doesn't get that, the like difference between like tilts, like anger tilt, and tilt like silent give up tilt.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right.
Definitely.
he doesn't let
he's
them
like,
give up.
yeah.
He's
like
like,
motivated.
pull
tilt,
it
He's not,
together,
like, toxic,
people.
Not toxic tilt. He's motivated. Tilt.
Well,
Yeah.
and if you listen to comms, he doesn't just do, hey guys, we can do this, guys. He goes, guys, listen, our map differential is this is this. We can make the playoffs if we 4-0. Let's 4-0. And he gives them incentive to actually 4-0. Like, he gives them the information they need to have the incentive to go a little bit further. I think that's
right.
what
It's not just a
of
generic statement, right? He truly does believe it, and he truly like puts his whole heart into it, And
Yeah.
to be
But
honest, I
sometimes
know
that's
what
what you need in a leader, right? Like, I mean, you think
Yes.
about like those like movies about like battles and stuff where the army's like super defeated, but then like the leader's like, no, we're not gonna give up. And he's like the first one to march out into battle, and everyone's like, well,
Right.
if he's gonna die,
Okay.
we're gonna die with him. Let's go.
Exactly. And you think about that team, right? Since we're on Boston, and you have what? You have RCK, you have Blase, you have Aim God, Kellex. These are all stone-faced killers. Like, they play very well, but there's not much about their personality, because they're not those guys. And then you bring in Fusion from Contenders, toss him in the mix, and everybody's like, who's this guy? And he's keeping these guys rallied, and he's giving Boston a personality, especially all the shit they've been through. That's something you definitely need. So his value goes through the roof. And then he just started getting better at a rate that was just impressive. Like, I mean, I'm not saying anything special by saying Fusions is good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, his ball play this last week wasn't the best, but we'll talk about that maybe in a second.
He still pumped up the team while playing ball, though.
There you
He's
go.
like, Man, I missed my hook, but you guys were gonna get it done.
Yeah, he reminded me of my most recent try to learn ball, where I just stand there for a second. I'm looking for what I want to hit, but moving on to a little bit of team news. Sleepy moves to the Washington Justice, gets traded from San Francisco Shock. San Francisco continues to do some wheeling and dealing. I think this is an upgrade for the Justice. What do you guys think?
Anything is an upgrade for the Justice, let's be honest. But I think to note here, though, it was Sleepy's decision to move, at least as we are privy to the media, it was Sleepy's decision to move from San Francisco to Justice. And for me, I think moving Sleepy there is great. Moving Arc there is great. There's still something going on because you guys still aren't winning a lot of games. But I think that Sleepy's got a cocky attitude. And to be honest, I'm going to take this a different direction than most people probably would. But I think this is the beginning of the end of San Francisco. And not that they're going to go downhill, but it just shows these players are cocky. These players know that they are the best of the best. And if they have an opportunity to go to another team and start, once they realize who the starting six are and that the meta is not going to change or the meta is not going to favor their character, I think they will start to spawn off and go to other teams. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you said something super interesting there because at the beginning, so we all did our power ranking beginning, we figured out who was going to be. And the one thing Clay and I would say about San Francisco was they have a team full of talent, but we don't know who's going to play. And whoever they choose is going to cause issues because you have all these guys who are just killers.
Whoever they don't choose.
Whoever they don't choose. They're going to leave, and that's going to cause more rifts because who are you falling back on? Are you fostering talent or are you creating a team? So it's a very interesting situation you brought up. But I'm happy Sleepy left, man. Sleepy should have been on the U.S. World Team and all that stuff. I was in that corner from the day one. To sort of see how he's been kind of treated, both on the media side and with getting benched because Violet came on. I kind of feel for him, so I want him to.
I met Sleepy. He's a really nice guy. He's a little cocky.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
It's the lack of sleep.
Yeah. But he's definitely, he knows how good he is. Maybe thinks he's a little better than he is, but not to say he's not really good. He is. But
he's not Violet, though. That's the problem.
He's not Violet.
No, who is? Besides Violet.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And I agree with all your points, too, because it's true. San Francisco has a bunch of, heavy stars, heavy hitters that they want the spotlight on themselves. I mean,
a lot
just
of A personalities.
Yeah, just look at the two people that just left San Francisco, Sleepy and Baby Bay. Those two, they want to be playing, and Sleepy was benched, and I don't think he wanted to be benched. Violet took his spot, and I think that San Francisco right now they found their lineup, with Moth and Violet and as a support lineup, and then you got Sinatra and Super on the Zarya Rhine. They're just looking really, really strong right now. And I don't know if it's gonna be their demise. To be honest, right now it seems like one of the most competitive teams out there, and the players who are in that team know that, and they have to fight for that spot. They have to be top tier. And I don't know, I think they've done a really good job of fostering talent because who were their first picks? Sinatra and Super. When they couldn't even play. They've been grooming these two kids for a while, and it's paid off big time. But I think that they did a fishnet approach of let's get the cream of the crop all into the team. And now they realize, okay, this is our core team, and they can't keep everyone there. Like we've said, it's too much talent.
It's meta, though.
Yeah, they still have Striker on the bench. Strikers on the bench.
Right. The problem
they
is
they
that
have a really good players.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And
they do.
I think they have to keep Striker because, what happens if you need a Widowmaker, right? Sinatra is not gonna pick up the Widowmaker. You still need somebody like Striker.
Right, but how long is Striker gonna stick around if the meta changes and he's not that person in the Widowmaker spot, right? Like, that's what I'm saying is like right now, yes, they have a core 6, and I think everybody else is okay with it other than Sleepy that got replaced where he plays one of the core 6, right? Like, but the other people, they're like waiting their turn, right? They're like, this is the meta that we're in right now. I'm okay with that. We're a rock star team. We're cool. But as soon as the meta shifts to involving DPS, maybe it won't. Like, maybe this won't happen. But if it does, if it shifts to involving DPS, and you get 2 DPS in there and you have these other people on the outside, they're saying, peace out, dude. I can go play DPS on another team.
Yeah. The personalities.
Yeah, but likewise, who wouldn't want to go play DPS for San Francisco Shock right now? Like if San Francisco Shock offered you
Nobody wants to go play
contract,
DPS.
well, okay, right. But I'm talking like
but I'm
if
saying
the
for
meta
San
changes.
Francisco, they have like 12 DPS. Like nobody wants to go there. Like who was it? Like Dante. I think when we talked to Dante at the opening week, he's like, well, I mean, you know, San Francisco got like 7 other people, so like I feel like I made a good choice. Like, you know, it's just like do you want to be on the best team and be on the bench, or do you want to showcase your talent and make a name for yourself so that you do have trade bait?
Although, right, if you're in the best team and you're in the bench, then that means that you're lacking something, right? Like somebody in that team is doing something better than you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so why? So you're not getting the recognition.
And Blevins put it to me when I guessed it on High Dude podcast today. He said, you know, would you rather be a bench warmer on one of the best college NCAA football teams, you know, and never see play, or would you rather be a star on a D3 team? I mean, it just depends on the personality, and I think Shock has a lot of A-type personalities on their team.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I think if you're on the bench, you never have the potential to be a star, though, and that's the issue, right? Like if you're on the bench of San Francisco Shock, you will not get picked up by another team because they don't see you play. They don't know what your skill level is anymore, right? So you never get the shot at being a star. Now you go down to contenders and you're a star, you have the potential of being picked up by any of these 20 teams because you've shown them that you can be a star in this meta. Right now, you're on San Francisco Shock and you have nothing to show for yourself. You can't say that you are good in this meta.
Yeah, we don't know if Striker's been just eating potato chips and just getting out of practice.
Let's not forget one important factor, right? We want practice. So scrimming, you're essentially practice squad. You're facilitating the team as well. We know that San Francisco has all these killers on their team, but they've been crushing teams lately, and that could be a big part into the fact that their practices are facilitated by these guys who should be on starting teams. If your practice squad is an actual team that's probably better than Justice, then you're playing against somebody like constantly in secret, right? And yeah, they don't see it as far as, we don't see the scrims, but we don't have much visibility into how those tapes get passed around, how that info gets passed around. But I definitely don't think it's 100%. If you're on the bench, then you should seek a better team because you may be super valuable on the bench. Think about SBB. He's probably a banger to have in.
Yeah, you make a fantastic point.
But SBB knows that he's going to. SBB knows that he's going to be in the meta if Tracer comes back, right? Like SBB knows, like, yeah, I got this. I'm just waiting for DPS to come back, right?
Yeah. Why? But so does Striker, right?
But right, and I'm not saying Striker is going to leave. I'm saying, why would you be okay with being a practice team member that is better than 90% of the Overwatch League teams just to help your starters win games, right? Like when you could do that for somebody else and be a starter and be a star. Nobody got into Overwatch League to sit on the bench. Nobody did, right? Yes, I understand that that's part of the thing, and like you have to be okay with it when your character's not in meta or when, you know, you're outplayed and try to get better. But if you're comfortable being on the bench, you have failed.
I don't think you could say nobody got it. It depends on the personality because I know that Pine is happy only coming in for one map. I don't know if he's happy not coming in at all, but I know last year he liked his role as coming in for just one map and not having the stress of being a starter.
Because he could shine. and he could prove that he was amazing on one map.
Well, from his words, he said it gave him anxiety. He had a lot of problems early on with it.
Right, he couldn't handle playing all the maps, right? But he did want to come in and perform and say, "Hey, look at me, I'm amazing," right? Like, so I guess if you're okay sitting on the bench, I don't think you should be in this league.
All right, well, I think we kind of detached from the do you think, just real quick before, do you guys think that Sleepy going over there is going to win some games for Washington Justice this stage? They play Shanghai. I don't remember, but they don't play any easy games, like quote unquote easy, coming up.
I will be short. I don't think so. I think that they still have, even with the pickups that they've done, the team still has to gel together. They have good players. I mean, Ark is good. Corey pops off every here and there. Sleepy is obviously good, but can they work together? And every time we see a new team start to reform, they usually don't gel together right away. All the teams that perform good right out of the gate have been teams that kind of like know each other and have played a little bit together for a while. So there's some shaping up to do for Justice. I don't think that this is going to be their stage either.
The fact that they played Sleepy like day one when they got him, like I literally think they got him like 2 days before they played him. And I think it's going to take time. I do think Sleepy's a good addition, and I think they eventually will start to win games, maybe. But I don't think it's going to be solely because of Sleepy or solely because of Ark. I think it'll be a combination of Sleepy and Ark pulling this team together.
It's like I don't know about the money side, but I've heard that they've been trying to spend as little money as possible. And it showed from the get-go. And now it's the case where it's like, okay, now we need to make an actual meal, right? Let's buy some real groceries. And
let's buy real cheese, not American.
Yeah, no more than American Kraft single. Not real
but
cheese.
Who knows? Maybe Sleepy was cheaper because he's like, I just want to start.
I doubt it. With what I've been hearing about how difficult teams are making it for buyouts, I don't think that's the case, especially from San Francisco, who looks like they're just essentially stockpiling diamonds to try to sell off.
Yeah, they're holding the cards.
Having a roster even with people on your bench that are super valuable, like those are assets for the team later on.
Right. Definitely. And they're just like not having to play against them. So it's like a win-win. It's like if we get all the DPS, nobody can play DPS against us.
All right, let's before we run out of time, let's talk about some of the crazy stuff that happened this weekend. So let's talk about the rain and about NYXL. Hey. Let's just go ahead and jump into the juice. Rain looked like they were not doing that good. Baby Bay has a couple more weeks to gel with the team. Daco comes back after his, we're not going to speculate,
sabbatical.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not giving a Halo of Thoughts any credit. Like, I don't know what happened. But Daco's back. They beat NYXL, and they beat them hard. So what do you guys think? Like, I'll let Andreas start here.
Oh, man. Atlanta Reign, the breaker of streaks, the destroyer of hope. What to say about this team? It's just like...
They went up to Super Saiyan 3 for this one.
Too.
I really wanted to interject there and say, like, after you gave, like, 4 names, I was going to be like, and NYXL. They're in my Excel. Have you seen... Like, come on, Game of Thrones? Nobody?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
So
sorry. I was gonna say though, Atlanta is giving me like anxiety over here. Like, I went to the watch party on Friday, and I was honestly ready for a loss. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna order a pitcher of beer. I'm gonna order some nachos. I'm gonna enjoy the match with my fellow Atlantans, but we're probably going to lose this. I just want to see if they can do something against NYXL. I want to see if they're gelling more as a team. And then they pull off this incredible win. We were just like amazed all over the venue. We're like, is Atlanta truly going to pull this off?
What just happened?
Everyone was
Dogman is like
surprised.
fragging Jonak all over the place. I'm like, what is this?
I think for me, looking at it, I was like, okay, we were watching the Busan match, and the cool thing about our fans, or just Overwatch fans in general, they know what's going on. So in the first map on Busan on Shrine, the back and forth that lasted about a minute 30 of them just kind of trying to take that point for the first time. And it was like these disengages that were beautiful, and then re-engaging, and then like kind of splitting the team, but then regrouping properly, resetting fights, and then still contesting point. And the fact that we were keeping up with NYXL, who's a known defensive style team that's really good at that, that was a part that everybody was like, wait a minute, are we really going to try this shit? Like, is this going to happen? And then we end up taking the control map from NYXL. Everybody was out of their mind. So it's like, hey, drink now, because this might be a moment for real. Everybody was real drunk that night.
Oh yeah, I played came home after. Yeah, I played came home after, and we played some games. He's like, "Oh, dude, I drink too much beer, man."
Like, I should probably go to bed.
Yeah.
No, we got this.
It was great, man. It was great. I don't think they played bad. I think we stepped up, and that was cool to see, especially after all the stuff that's happened lately.
And it was all around like good performance. Like Dako was back, they performed well. And you could have said like, "Oh, dude, Dako was what we were missing." But honestly, they won a game with FRD too, so it was like honestly, all the team was gelling well together and playing well.
Yeah, and I think Baby Bay, like it's just like we talked about Sleepy playing last week. It's going to take a few weeks and a few games for Sleepy to be up to his maximum performance, and I think Baby Bay is really stepping it up. And I know the kid works hard. I know he wants to win, and despite how confident he is, he listens to coaches and he grows from them. So I think that it's a plethora of different things that helped you guys. But what happened in the next game?
Listen, all right.
Can we just leave it at this? Can we just...
Is that we're time, right? Thanks for having me on the episode. It was great.
We don't have to talk about Houston either. See,
man, listen, Charge. They wanted to win. It's this weird situation where I feel like the schedule has been going. Is we always interact with these teams that, regardless of schedule, there's some different level of adversity they've been going through before they play us, and where the keystone to say, okay, this is where we turn things around with Atlanta. And it just always feels like that's the moment. And when we played Valiant, we were all standing there like, this is gonna go bad, isn't it? It's like, yeah. And when we played Charge, I was like, we just beat NYXL. This is gonna go bad, isn't it? Charge played their ass off, man. Shu is a monster, and I'm a main support player. And every time I go in, I'm like, okay, I need to die as little as Shu does. And I'll be successful, and then I'll be in the league.
Shoot trade.
Exactly. But yeah, it's Atlanta. So here's my theory, real quick. I'm gonna go deep. I think that with Atlanta starting as a new expansion team, with the popularity, with the watch parties, or pat yourself on the back, with the watch parties, with the fans coming out and supporting, being number one in bids, having the number one selling jersey, without, a lot of teams look at that, especially Monty, I'm shouting you out. They come after us and they're like, how dare they be so loyal? How dare they be kind of, successful just being a new team, and almost put a target on our back without a record to back it up. It was just like, hey, we just need to beat Atlanta because Atlanta's popular. And that's just a feeling I've had for a while. I don't know if that's just wild and far-fetched, but
I think they also, now that Dufran's gone, they've been like, every time they announce it, they're like shocked that Atlanta's still at the top, right? Because they thought, and it probably is a lot of Dufran followers, right? Like bringing in Atlanta's bits and whatnot.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I do think that everybody expected them to crumble and fall with the fan base when Dufran left. And I love Dufran. I think he was a great player. He had some issues. And I think he left, like we said, on a good note. So good for him. But I think this team still has what it takes. They just had to figure it out.
Honestly, I think Dogman's been the best thing for the team. I mean, to be quite frank, like he has brought the energy up, and I think that's the biggest thing.
But then they didn't play him like the first couple weeks.
Well, they played him, but they just switched him and Kodak off and on.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Yeah, Dogman. Because imagine a world where the Fran leaves and Dogman's not there.
Yeah,
what does Atlanta look like?
Be a very quiet team, I think.
It'd be a very quiet team
They
at
look
a
like
time where you
Houston.
need. Oh God.
Sorry.
I don't know that Houston's a quiet team. Come on, were you on Twitter last week?
Were you watching their matches? Because this is literally how they looked.
I can't wait to talk about Houston.
Yeah, well, let's just jump right into Houston.
No, I didn't mean to segue to that. I gotta go.
Let's just jump right into Houston. Houston is struggling bad. Their GM had a fight with Monty on Twitter and Brent.
Wait, who hasn't?
And well, I guess even I have. But unintentionally I did it. Monty's a friend of the show. He's been on the show before. He's a friend, but he definitely ruffles feathers, and me and Mel like to tweet Patrick Mahomes stuff at him because he's a Denver Broncos fan. But
oh no.
Yeah. So, but so they had this whole thing where they attacked fans and just it's the whole thing where they attack fans and analysts and say, well, you're dumb. You don't understand why we do this. Well, of course we don't. We don't scrim 8 to 10 hours a day. Like as analysts, our job is to fill in the blanks, is to guess, educated guess. And I mean, that's what we're doing. We're not talking facts. And so they got a little upset, but it all got smoothed over. But then this week they go in and it just looks like the team has lost faith in management. But I've talked enough. Anybody take
it's always
the
a good
floor.
Thing, right?
What do you think?
I'll let Mel go first.
I love you, Houston. Oh, I am a Houston fan, and I will be a Houston fan until the day I die or I get a team here. But all I have to say is that what upsets me most is that they seem like they go into a game with this plan in their head and then they don't adjust even at halftime.
You're talking about a plan being goats, right?
Whatever plan it is.
Or this week they tried the goats with soldier variant.
No, I'm even talking on Anubis where they literally tried for the Genji Nanoblade the entire map and didn't capture first point because somebody kept dying.
Wait, are you talking about Anubis?
Give it up.
That sounds familiar. Kind of like a AKM
like
blade?
A Reaper or a Reaper. That wasn't Anubis, but still.
Yeah, the AKM blade was on Anubis. Believe me, I remember.
Okay.
The North remembers.
It's not the fact that Arhan didn't get the blade or that Ruckus didn't get the nano. They both had it. And they tried.
One of them would die each time.
4 pushes or whatnot to get that off, and they couldn't. And they ran out of time and they tied the map, right? I want them to talk more. You look at them in between matches, and you know how you look at Boston between matches and Fusion is just like blah, 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 blah. Or if you look at Houston when Jake's in the lineup between matches and he's like da, 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 right? Between matches this week, there was literally stone cold faces.
Oh yeah,
that's it.
Muma looked more tilted than I've ever seen him in my life. Both games.
100%. And it's they were so mad about the reaction to their play against Vancouver that they just couldn't pull it together and make anything happen. They're like, forget this. We're just going to play goats and we're going to show everybody that we suck. Right? What is that doing for you? Come on. I don't understand. Do not sit there and try to. And then at the end, I will say, this is my bright moment on Houston because at the end, Linkster came out and just destroyed face on Widow. And I don't know how many times that man was at 1 health or 6 health and lived, but you are a god. I love you, and I can't believe that you are not in the lineup. The fact that we have Arhan and who else do we have in there? Dante, the fact that we have Arhan and Dante in the lineup, and we don't have Jake, who's a big influence on the team.
If you're going to play goats over and over again, why not have Jake on Brig Jail? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Arhan doesn't look better on Brig than Jake does. I'm sorry, he doesn't. But putting Linkser and Jake in there, people have figured out the Sombra. Take Dante out. It's not working right now, right? Accept it. Put Jake and Linkser in there and go back to what you know and be a team. Because right now, you are spiraling out of control.
The thing that strikes me about Houston Outlaws right now is that they honestly don't have anything like special about it. They don't have their own style. They don't have like those standout players that they had on season 1. Like you were saying, Linkser is bench, Jake is bench, and like what were the things that stood out from them season 1? It's not like they were the top team, but at least when they came out to play, you would see Jake on the Junkrat just showing the league like what could be done with that character on certain maps.
Nobody else was doing it too. They were innovating instead of copying.
Right. You had Linkser just popping off on the Widow. Yeah, just popping off Widow and McCree all the time. Like he is probably the best player that they have right now, and he's definitely
100%.
being underutilized. And it seems to me that they instead are trying to conform to the meta. They've said to themselves, you know what? GOATS is the end all be all. And to be fair, it is the strongest comp out there, but it doesn't mean that you can't win matches off of people. Like,
and
look
how
at
well did it work when they tried to conform to dive and they didn't have a tracer? Like,
exactly. And like I was gonna say, like, look at Chengdu Hunters, for example. They're not the best team in the league. They're like, in the bottom 20, kind of like the bottom 10. I was gonna say, but people are fine with them. They're not bored when Chengdu Hunters come out to play. It's
so entertaining.
Oh, dude,
yeah, even if they're playing to their strengths, they're putting out a good show out there is cool. It's like, okay, I love Chengdu Hunters, but then you go to Outlaws and it's like their fire, their magic, the stuff that they actually do have is on the closet, and everything that they're playing is kind of like this. I was gonna say B side of composition, but it's not even B. It's more like C.
Yeah, it would be like everybody in the NFL decides that the 3-4 defense is the best thing to run, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of 4-3 defenses running without a nose tackle. Like and so like it's just people who don't understand football won't get that. But either way, you would basically just get run over by a run game, It's so
any
like
team
why
that is
do
better
that?
than you at that composition is gonna run you over.
Yep.
And at this point, a lot of teams in the league are.
I just don't understand. Like, okay, Outlaws against Fusion. Sorry, I'll let you talk in a second, Ryan.
All right, no problem.
But Outlaws against Fusion is the epitome of them being stubborn, I guess, because they went to Busan, which is a very heavy DPS map for almost every team.
Well,
right?
I mean, they just thought Jade's, Fusion Goats is trash was true, so they thought they'd run Goats.
Yeah, well, poor choice. Don't listen to Jane, guys. But
clip it.
I'm just kidding, Jane. No, but what I'm saying is like they lost one fight and switched to Goats the entire rest of the game, right? They went 2 points on Busan, got 99% before
99-0, my dad.
Before the other team had any percentage on that point and lost both of them. And
I mean, they had to win one team fight to take that whole match. And you saw it in the players' eyes. Like after they lost that match, they thought they were going to win that, and they were broken from that point on.
Except for against the Dragons, when they full held Dragons on Anubis, they were like, I saw them smile for the first time all week on the broadcast, and I was like,
they full held on Anubis 1, right?
Yeah, and then they get full held and they die again, right? So like,
tie.
Come on.
All right, let's let Ryan talk.
I've been trying to avoid Ryan talking.
Honestly. I know, right? I'm gonna be nice. But So you can check the record on all our old episodes, right? I was a Houston fan all of last year, right? Didn't have a local team. They kind of stood out in the beginning. But one thing that stood out, and I was always kind of commenting on, and this is even into Worlds, right? Because a lot of those players were on the US team, is like you said, that stubbornness, where it's like they have this view of themselves from the outside that we're this good, we are these guys. Like, how dare anybody tell us anything? That's including fans, coaches, management, whatever. Anybody comments on how they play or the bad decisions they make or how stubborn they are, they get defensive and they don't adjust. And, I remember, going into Worlds where it was the same thing about, you remember where they were talking about, oh, Graham, look how cool we are. Everyone wants to talk about us. We're USA. We're going to make it, blah, blah. And they got stomped. And then you come this year in the second season and you have the same mentality about yourself where it feels like they're an old team. It feels like a bunch of old heads that used to be good in the past that have this mentality about the type of team they are, and they're not growing with the league. And to say that, when they chased Tracer for the longest, we're like, okay, well, we're going to chase what everybody else is doing instead of just doing our own thing. I thought that would have changed with the Chinese teams this year because they came in and said, hey, people want to see difference. People want to see these other things, and you can do your thing. Because like Hunters, the thing about Hunters is, yeah, they're not amazing, but they're good at what they do. And when they do it, it screws up other teams. Think about playing 2 games in a week, and one of those games are Hunters. You're like, oh shit, we have to prepare for them as well. Like, we know we can beat them, but we need to worry about like NLXL or someone else or San Francisco.
Right.
But we also have to play them. Hunters are probably going to win that game, right? Same thing with Charge. Like they
they're just
mix it
like,
up.
They're like, I don't care. I can't spend a week preparing for one team that I'm not going to play the rest of the season. I might as well spend a week preparing a strat that's going to work against multiple teams.
Yeah. So
and I was going to say that's a fantastic point that you say, because honestly, I think that is exactly what happened to Atlanta versus the Charge. Atlanta is a solid GOATs team. Like they can play GOATs and they can go toe to toe against some of the other GOATs teams. But when they were playing against Charge, they were faced against stuff that was not only GOATs. And I think that a lot of the times they kind of got caught off guard. Like Dogman died a lot on that matchup, mainly because
Happy on Soldier. Like when Happy was on Soldier, everybody was like, "Oh crap, what are we doing?"
When you're Zen in GOATs, like almost nothing comes at you. You know what I mean? But as soon as you're playing against things that actually can target the Zen, like you gotta play different.
Yeah, it's very different from Dive.
Yeah. I'm just sorry. Like, I'm sorry, but you have Linkser in when you play Soldier. Do not go into Busan map 1 and play Dante on Soldier. And
I'm pretty sure Dante is a very good soldier too. Jake's a good soldier.
Arhan,
Soldier's easy.
Freaking Arhan on Brigitte versus a pharmacy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you were just like you didn't stop Brig the entire map. And Brick had 0 effect. 0.
Yeah, well, like, and they were playing a
800 damage.
Like they were playing up against a 2-2-2, but they still decided to use the Brig with the triple support, and I think they thought that Arhan. Yeah, they were playing against a 2-2-2.
No, they were playing against a 3-2-1.
Oh, okay. But either way, like they were, had him on the Brig because they thought it would take out the Tracer. But they probably would have, with all the squishies, they probably would have been better off having Arhan on just a Tracer.
Anything.
Or Dante on the Tracer and Arhan on Genji. Like with those.
Right. What do you all think about Raucus?
I actually tonight on High Noon Podcast, I did say, I think it's time to put Bonnie in for Raucus. Bonnie plays a killer Zen, and I think it's time to make a little bit of a shakeup. If not that, then coaching staff, because I think the team's lost confidence in the staff. But
I don't think it's Raucus. Let me.
We're not all Raucus. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're killing me, Mel.
Had his chance.
2 seconds.
Okay.
I don't think it's Raucus. I think that Raucus is part of the problem. I think he's not amazing, but he's also not getting the support that he should. And he's constantly rotating between main tanks, right? So, or not main tanks, but off tanks, right? We've got Cool Matt, we've got, everybody in the world playing Zarya and Diva with him. So, like, his gameplay has had to be affected by that because positioning is usually a little bit off. That's fine. I think when you put Boink on Mercy, we die. So please stop doing that.
How much does HEB Honey Butter play into this whole thing?
What?
The HEB Honey Butter?
I don't know what that is.
What? The Rock is honey? Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it with Fist, remember? We explained what honey butter was.
Oh, yeah. But
no, that's me flubbing a joke. I'm sorry.
So, Mel is way too... we're going to move on because Mel is way too emotional about this. We're going to move on to something I will be less emotional about, but I'm hurting inside. Dallas Fuel. 8-0 last week, 0-8 this week. I feel like I have to name this episode because of what I named last episode. I named last episode Fuel's Good, man. Do I have to name this one Fuel's Bad, man? Like, because they are a different team every time. Like, they look good, they look bad, but this week I thought they would lose to Vancouver, but I had no idea they would get 4-0 against the Dynasty. And I've come to realize that if Fuel goes 0-2 in a set, they're getting 4-0'd. Like, that's just what's going to happen because they just shut down. And then they all start to try and, like, carry the team and make plays on their own when they're not a team of stars. They're a team that has shown good promise this season because of the team play, and I just don't get them. But I'll let someone else take this. How about either Andreas or Ryan? Because Mel has talked enough.
I'll let Ryan start.
All right. Fuel's been interesting to watch. The whole trade situation with RCK and Note. I love Note, so that's a plus there. I still don't really know in my mind where they stand. Like any week, I feel like they can win or lose. I never go into a game thinking, okay, this is Dallas Fuel's going to take this one by a mile.
Yeah, there's like a good version of them and a bad version, just like Philly last year.
It was like Spark at the beginning, right? They had this on-off switch as far as how they were going to perform, but it's like these individual stories that I like about Dallas Fuel that are real. I feel like there's a player progression there. Like AKM is the big one, right? Like he's talk about stepping up in the offseason. It's a beautiful thing, right? Unco's always been good, but now he's looking like the Unco we used to fear. And then OG, it's like everyone's playing, I think, better. There's just something there, like they're missing by a few bits, a few inches that I think once they shore that up, then they'll be a consistent winning team. But then having a new player as well, I feel like RCK has adjusted better to being on Boston than Note has on Fuel. Although that trade was, I think, a solid even trade in my mind. But yeah, if they can just get those little inches that they're kind of giving away, that's leading to losses, because it can be a 4-0, but until you watch the match, you see how that 4-0 happened, then it makes sense, right? It's like, oh, you guys just messed up here, and that lost you that map. So yeah, I think Fuel will be fine.
4-0s kill map differential.
Oh, dude, yeah, no.
That's what kept Dallas out of the stage 1 playoffs.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Trace?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think Fuel is right where it belongs. I don't think that it's like that inconsistent. Fuel is not the top team, but they're not the bottom team either. Right now, they have good coaching. They have players that can work together. They look really good last week when they play against Toronto and when they played against, what was the other team, Paris, which again right now are two of the mid-tier teams. But when you're going against Vancouver, when you're gonna go against NYXL, Seoul Dynasty, I don't think that Dallas has that level yet. I don't think.
But how do you explain 8-0 to 0-8? You know what I mean?
But who did they play last week?
It's
Paris,
so streaky.
And they played
the A team that was in the stage playoffs last stage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but Toronto, how has Toronto looks this stage? Toronto has a pretty bad record this stage.
Well, and then they played Seoul against quote unquote the B squad. Is it really the B squad? You know what I mean? But like, that's what everybody calls them.
We gotta stop underestimating Seoul, because Seoul is playing really good 100%. Right now. Like they proved it last stage, and this stage they're doing equally good. Like Seoul is not what it was last season. We gotta we gotta change our perception.
Ryu
of
Jae
Seoul
Hong's
again.
not on Winston, so like we're good with Seoul.
That was a tough time to watch.
It was
I
tough.
think Seoul is not Vancouver or San Francisco right now, but they're definitely top 5 in my book. Like Vancouver, then Shock, then anyone from Seoul or New York Excelsior is up there because New York Excelsior did get beat by Seoul Dynasty on playoffs last stage. That 5th is up for grabs, I think. A lot of teams are performing well. London's going up there again. Even Shanghai Dragons has been doing pretty good this season. I think they're like
I mean,
6
I
in the
think
standing.
yeah, I think London's just gonna like play middle of the ground until it's really worth it, and then they're gonna be like, oh, okay, guys, we gotta play now.
Yeah.
London's
I mean,
4-0
championship
this
We gotta
stage.
we
London's
gotta win
killing
this
it.
stuff. Right, this stage, but the next stage they'll probably lose.
Fuel, Fuel will be
It
fine.
just depends on if Bird
yeah.
rings on. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, but
Phil's doing
I think
okay, but I don't think it's a thing to be alarmed. They've shown a lot of improvement, so I don't know.
I think the thing to be alarmed with Fuel, hear me out here, is that Fuel has 2 games in a week. They always lose one of them. Come on. But the biggest thing about Fuel is I think they prepared for the Titans because they thought they could make a stand beating the Titans, and then they didn't. And then they lost to Seoul because they hadn't prepared for Seoul. They had 2 days to prepare for Seoul, 1 day to prepare for Seoul, and they lost it. So I think they made the mistake of preparing for the Titans with this like unreasonable expectation that they could pull that off and not preparing for Seoul, and it backfired. Now I could be 100% wrong, but that's just the feeling I get because I don't think that the Fuel should have lost to Seoul. I think that the Fuel threw that game away. They did not look like they were prepared. They did not look like they had the compositions that they would have had if it was just one game against Seoul that week. Also, to note, Seoul only had 1 game that week. So Seoul did nothing but prepare for Fuel that week, right? So
yeah, that's something. Oh, sorry.
No.
That point is actually. I feel like season 3 is where we'll have a better grasp on how a team will perform against another team because right now we're in this schedule situation where you don't have 40 games, right, in a season where everybody's burnt out and there's only a couple teams. And I think now where you have a situation where a team is playing once and they can prepare for one team while the other team is playing twice, and that team could be in a growth spurt or whatever's happening, I think that's more of a big deal than it was last season, this season. And it's probably affecting things more than we understand because we don't have that visibility. So I think it's a good thing to keep in mind as we talk about these kind of outcomes as your 8-0 to 08 situation.
And not every team is playing against each one another, so it's really still kind of like up in the air sometimes. Dallas has a chance to shine next week though when they're going into the Dallas games. They're playing against LA Valiant and they're playing against Houston Outlaws. Like these are the teams that I think Dallas can prove themselves with. Like if they can't,
what are they proving?
Yeah,
they can beat up homeless people.
Something
that they can win against the bottom teams.
Something to consider though is that I think that the Outlaws Dallas match is going to be pretty close. I think it's going to go 5 games, and I think it's because. Just the like teams that have like border wars and like these different things like prepare differently for them. Like going back to football references, like if you're in a division with another team, no matter how bad the Raiders suck, they still put up a fight against the Chiefs, or vice versa, depending on what decade you're in. But like either way, they put up a fight, and I think Houston Outlaws really want this game. They've never lost to Dallas, and I think they really want this game. Dallas has never won, so Dallas is going to really want it. So all of a sudden, you got a bunch of different nerves that you don't have with other teams, and so I think that they're going to put up a fight. But yeah, if Valiant beats them. But I mean, can you really say that? Because Valiant beat the Atlanta Reign.
It
And the Atlanta Reign beat NYXL. Like, what is going on? What is going on?
But
why do we even do this?
Reign,
Nothing makes sense.
I think
being
Atlanta
Atlanta
Reign was
right now doesn't
sleeping.
mean anything.
It's just
Yeah, I'm
like,
not
it's
sure what
so
happened
hard. It's
That
it's
battle
so
for your
I
hard.
state,
agree.
that battle for your state thing is a big factor here. I mean, because look at the battle for LA, right? Last year, it wasn't even a question if LA would win those battles, right? Or Valiant, I can't just say LA, right? Valiant would win those battles against Gladiators
Until the end.
until the end. But now it's kind of flipped, and that's kind of the situation here, right?
Yep.
With Battle for Texas. So it's going to be huge. Everybody's going to be watching, and like you said, it's very important that Dallas steps up here because this is a big moment to kind of solidify that, hey, we've made progress. All of our players have made progress. We're working out the kinks, and this is time kind of to prove that. And because that will give them a hell of a momentum boost moving forward if they can claim their state.
I think so.
I
And like
disagree.
to what Mil was saying, like, what are they gonna prove? I think there's a big difference in being the team 5 to 10 than being like 10 and down. You know what I mean? Like, there's a clear mid upper region now in the brackets. Now that we have
they can't choose a different team to play this week. So I mean, you take the games you have and you try to make the best of it.
I'm just saying, like, you can't prove anything by winning against lower tier teams. You can't prove that you are good. Dallas has shown us that they can win against lower tier teams. They have not shown us that they can win against.
Can they do it consistently and can they keep it up? Because right now, as it's standing, if you are a mid-tier team, you will more than likely go to playoffs. You know what I mean?
Right, well, but a mid-tier team and a low-tier team are two different things, right? Like, they're playing Valiant, which is number 10, and then they're playing Houston, which is number 16. So, like, you beat both of those, and it's like, okay.
But it's the whole concept of practice like you play, right? So if you're practicing and getting better, and you have certain things nailed down, right? Like your organization, your disengages, your engages.
Hey, hold on, real quick. You're cutting out. I think you might be getting a little away from the mic.
Oh, one second. Mic check. 1, 2. Mic check. Am I back?
Yeah. You're good. You were just cutting in and out.
Yeah. Sorry, but no. So it's like practice like you play, and show that keep playing as you're playing better, right? So don't just cut back because you're playing poor teams. Play like you would be playing any team and dominate. That way you can show that, hey, they look consistent on tape because coaches are watching tape like that. It doesn't matter if it's a bad team or not. They're looking at the mechanics. They're looking at certain things as well, certain other things as well. So like, I don't think playing a bad team, beating a bad team well does not mean that you're not progressing as a good team.
Right, but you have to beat them well.
Yep.
You can't go 3-2.
No, don't go in there
with Valiant. And I'm sorry, like, if Houston goes to map 5, I just don't even know what's gonna happen because we've never won map 5. I feel like. But
well,
I do think it'll
Dallas wins. But speaking of LA teams, let's talk really quickly about the Gladiators and how they've went from bottom feeder in stage 1 to top feeder at 6-0 in stage 2. What's up with that, guys?
I think we saw them figuring it out at the end of the last stage.
Against Atlanta Reign.
I think it's decay.
Sorry.
I think it's decay.
I think it's them finally figuring out how to work with decay, though. Like, and I think it's consistent trend, right? Like, we're like Arcs and Sleepy are in Washington, but they're not going to be good for another little bit, right? Because they have to figure out that game plan. They have to work together. Not every Zarya plays the same. Not every Zenyatta plays the same. And so I think the fact that Gladiators were able to figure that out and get that communication going, which I think was a barrier for them. They figured it out at the end of the season, and they didn't make playoffs because they figured it out too late.
Yep.
But you could tell at the end of last stage that it was like, oh, crap, we got to watch out for Gladiators.
What do you think, Dre?
Gladiators, I was so surprised that they had such a slow start because honestly, last season they were a really good team and they were a contender for playoffs and stuff. So I was very surprised. Finally, I think they've woken up. Whatever it was they were missing, they've getting it back. To be fair, this is probably the easiest stage that they're going to have for the rest of the league. But I'm glad they took full advantage of it. Like we talked about with Dallas Fuel, like if you're one of these teams, this is your chance right now to prove yourself that you're like top 10. I think that that should be the goal for many teams. If you're right now, you're not beating Vancouver Titans and you're not beating San Francisco Shock, your aim should be to beat anyone who's top 10 and below consistently. Gladiators did that. They're looking great. I think that moving past from this stage, it'll get a little bit more challenging for them, but at least they showed like, hey, if we're playing against the bottom teams, we got no problem. And they also beat Seoul as a bonus. So I don't know. They're looking good. I like what I'm seeing. I don't think that they're top contenders right now. I don't think that they're gonna beat San Francisco or Vancouver anytime soon. Um, but definitely, if you're Atlanta Reign, if you're Toronto, if you are Dallas Fuel or Valiant 2, these guys are something to watch out for. They're not gonna make it easy for you, and they're looking good.
Yeah. How about you, Rod?
Yeah, I think I'm with Andreas. It looks good. I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. Focus on the bread and butter. Focus on making that your new baseline, right? If their baseline is just performing well, then you can worry about excelling when it comes to playing Vancouver and NYXL and San Francisco. But for now, just kind of get that base down because that's what you need. I mean, we're looking at teams that don't have that base anymore, that we've talked about, that are struggling and trying to find what it means to be a team anymore, and they're no longer have that. So it's like, hey, that's a grace in itself. Keep moving forward, man. Keep trucking.
Yeah,
It'll be fine.
and I think Roar has really stepped it up too. Roar was looking pretty bad early on in stage one, and I think he's really getting into it. So we're running a little long, but there's one last thing we have to talk about
Okay.
because it kind of pertains to like last week's Houston war over Twitter. So last night, the Titans take on the Boston Uprising, and I thought it was the neatest thing in the world that Boston pushed the point to almost never play goats in the entire matchup. They played bunker on payloads. They played DPS comp with fusions not looking great on the wrecking ball, but they gave the league a whole lot of film on what could possibly work against the Titans. And now all the different coaches have a chance to dissect those matches and maybe find a chink in the armor. Like, what did you guys think of this? Because they obviously went in going, we're not going to beat them at goats. So we're going to try and just do weird stuff.
Yes, like this, I am so happy that they did this. I couldn't give a crap that they lost 4-0 because honestly, if they had gone full goats, it'll probably look the same. Like they are the best goat teams in the league, and if you're not playing at that level, to
And
me, it
Boston's
just
not too
looks
shabby either, right?
Boston is not too shabby, but I think that they have the at least the self-awareness to realize this. They can tell like we're not gonna beat Vancouver Titans toe to toe, and we're just gonna look silly trying to do this. Instead, how can we catch him off guard? You know what I mean? Is there anything that we can do? Are there any strengths that we have as a team that we can utilize to maybe throw him off guard? Vancouver knows how to play against goats. I mean, they understand it perfectly. They execute better than any other team in the league. They know the weaknesses and the strengths of the comp. If you show any weakness or give him any mistake against them, they're going to take advantage of you. Just look at Houston Outlast, and I'm sorry, Mel, that I'm bringing it up again. But just look at them when they play against Vancouver. They looked silly playing goats against them. It was like not even a contest. So
I know.
I just rather have teams take more of a creative approach when they're going against the Titans. And like you said, show something else to the league. Give them a show. Like if you're not gonna win, at least give people a show, because that is at the end of the day your job. You know,
Yeah.
your job is not to win every time. Your job is to give a show for the viewers.
And if other teams see something there and actually like make the right micro adjustment to beat it, it helps everyone else that's below the Vancouver Titans. It helps everybody because once that team figures it out, they're going to be like, oh, they're weak to this. We're going to go at them. That brings them down. That brings the rest of the league up. But sorry, go
Which
ahead.
is a double-edged sword. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Mel, go ahead. Looks like you're ready.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying it's like a double-edged sword, though, right? Like, you showed the league how to beat the Vancouver Titans, but you don't beat them, right? So then everybody else has an insider view as to how it could maybe be done better, and then maybe they beat them, and then you're kind of like,
but that still helps you. That still brings you closer to the top.
Maybe. But then on the same note, like, I think that Boston could have had a decent shot beating them with goats, to be honest. I don't know that Boston is
Boston has a
as
really good
at
goats, but I don't know that anybody has a decent shot. Even NYXL, maybe San Fran, but that's about it.
Agreed, but at the same time, like, you look at Boston and their strats to beat them, and I think that they were too stubborn on it sometimes. They shouldn't have stuck with something so long that wasn't working. Like, DPS comps are hard, and you get so stuck into these ultimate combos that you don't want to switch off. And I think they needed to switch off quicker on some of the map.
Yeah, maintain that flexibility makes sense. So two things. The one is like, as far as a double-edged sword, you take 100%, you miss 100% of the shot thing. Like, you have to try things to figure out where your team needs to go. But to your point, try things, but also be able to come back. Because there are times on certain points that, hey, they could be better than Vancouver Titans on point 2 of Rialto on Goats. If you know that as a team, do that, right? And then go back to your thing. And then to the other point about mixing it up, to Andreas' point, it's great because when we lost the charge, the first thing that stood out to me was that Eileen on Doomfist was a big deal because everybody thought that character's dead, but what he was able to pull off, and even at points when the commentators were like, "Hey, Eileen, you need to switch," and he did it. They stuck to it and kind of showed more of what they could do with that. While Atlanta had to go to the GOAT situation, we played fairly solidly. So that means that, now Doomfist might be an option, and coaches see that, and now they're more confident to do that. And to that other point, Chu on Ana, right? They talked a lot about, you don't have a Zenyatta, this puts you in situations, but look at his performance that game. That says, okay, now coaches might think about running Ana again and bringing that more to the forefront. So these kind of things do influence kind of a more consensus across the league. Because some people don't want to take risks. Some teams aren't risk-taking teams. Like a lot of Chinese teams, they take risks because they're newer, they're expansions, whatever. So I think all of it is kind of this mixed bag of you're juggling these balls to try to figure out what works best for your team. But all in all, I think it's good for the league.
Yeah. I'm going to go out. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Chinese teams aren't doing this because they're new. They're doing it because they got balls.
And they were playing McCree.
China's always been known for like their crazy meta that they play in like in their own little cosm. You know what I mean?
It's glorious.
And sometimes it works. Like Chengdu Hunters took a map off of Vancouver Titans playing their crazy, wacky triple DPS.
They pushed Vancouver to pick DPS comp.
They made Vancouver look like they were like, I don't know what to do with this. What's happening?
Yeah, and think about competition. Sorry.
I was going to say, to be honest, a lot of teams have been practicing goats, and that's all they've been practicing against one another. They don't have like as much practice against other compositions, and I haven't seen teams perform on a comp as the best team in goats. Like, I want to see a team that can bring, like that Hammond and Farah and like everything, but at the level that some of the teams are bringing goats. Like, I want a team of all-stars. Like, can you bring a badass Hammond and a badass Farah and then a badass Sombra with you? Like, combine all those things and work in unison to like break him down. Because like right now, we've seen those things. We've seen Bunker, we've seen the Hammond, but I don't think that teams have perfected those compositions to the point that some of them have perfected goats, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Well, they're too scared.
Definitely.
They're too scared.
That's it, guys. That's it.
Gotta go.
That's it. So, the answer to the question is give us a 2-2. Give us a 2-2-2 roll lock, and we will stop talking about farm animal compositions. So we're going to move on to closing out the show. Want to thank everybody in chat that came, everybody that talked in chat. Thank you guys so much. You guys should join our Pick'em Leagues. We might be doing a giveaway for Stage 3, so get in now. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at @AlRecap. If you want to say something a little bit longer, you can send an email to contact@alrecap.com. You can also find us squatting in the Omnic Lab Discord. You can get there by going to your browser of choice and typing discord.me/OmnicLab. We have game nights every month. They're always the last Friday of every month. This coming Friday, the 26th, will be game night. I encourage you to come. Any SR is welcome. There will be Grandmasters, Masters, Diamonds, Golds, Platinums, even Bronze. And you are all welcome. We would love to play with you. Please come and hang out with us. Also, we stream live every week, usually right around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that's at twitch.tv/AlRecap. How can you help the show out? You can help the show out by putting us on Reddit, by walking out your front door yelling, "Al Recap, I love those guys." Telling your friends, just, any sort of promotion, no matter how big or how small, will help the show. You can go one step further. You can leave us a review on Stitcher or on iTunes. We've been stagnant on the iTunes reviews. I think Omnic Lab's the only podcast that gets reviews for Overwatch at this point. So please help us out. It's in your app. Like if you're on your phone, you can just scroll down and you could actually just give us a 5-star, or you could write a review right in the app. So please help us out and do that. We will read your review on the show. If you feel compelled to support us even further, for just $1 an episode, you can make a difference in these podcasters' lives. You can go to patreon.com/AlRecap and pledge your support. And I forgot to thank our producers at the start of the show, Shazir and Ridiculous Brent. Thank you so much. They are Patreons at the highest level. Thank you so much. All right, Mel, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me next week at Texas homestand event.
Yes, please tweet at us. We would love to meet you. Please tweet at us.
Excuse me. This is my outro.
Sorry, my bad.
Thank you. You can tweet at me at Mel Overwatch, or you can hit me up in the Discord. But please do. If you're there, I want to know and I want to meet you.
And
Andres?
the famous I Play Games, a.k.a. Andre, where can we find you?
I don't know about the famous, but you can find me at I Play Games on Twitter. You spell that IPLAI Games, or you can find me talking strategy on Omnic Lab.
And Ryan, guest of the show, first time.
Oh man, yeah,
where can we find you?
Twitter at Podcast TV.
Oh, hold on.
Fine.
Say it. Yeah, you cut out again. Say it one more time.
No, on Twitter at I'm usually.
It's cut out again.
It what? Is
it seriously
It'll be in the show notes.
It'll be show notes.
No.
All right,
Go
one more time.
Yeah, try it one more time.
All right, Twitter at Podcast DBW. Did that come through?
Yeah, that came through that time. That was the weirdest thing ever.
If you want to email us, podcast, Facebook, YouTube, the Bird Watchers, and then the Bird Watcher podcast on Reddit. Reddit's where we're most active. So definitely check us out there, and then Twitter. Sucks I couldn't have Clay here with me, but he has stuff to take care of. Next time.
And you can find me and everything I do on Twitter at Blazzin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. That's going to be it for tonight. All right, guys, later.
All right, see you.